After Pearl Harbor, you'll witness the Army Air Corps' delaying action in the Philippines and thrill with Chennault's American Volunteer Group in China. And you will see the bitter taste of war return to the enemy by Doolittle and his daring Tokyo Raiders.
Only 467 feet of clear deck faced Doolittle's lead ship. The rest barely had room in which to rev up, and the last plane hung precariously out over the stern of the Hornet. After the wind-up by the flight officer, Doolittle made his run down the plunging deck. With 100 feet to spare, he led the parade. Tension eased a little once the colonel was in the air. Crewmen cheered as one plane after another screamed down the swaying runway. In the excitement, this pilot started without lowering his flaps. His plane ran off the deck, dropped sharply, but expert piloting saved it. Launching fully loaded medium bombers had never been done before. When the decks of the flagship were cleared, Admiral Halsey signaled to Colonel Doolittle and his gallant command, "Good luck and God bless you."
You'll go on to Tokyo and see the mission that was but an omen of what was to come. As the tide began to turn, in the battle for Midway, you'll witness American Marines, sailors, and airmen united in an amazing display of courage. You'll join the 8th Air Force setting up shop in England. And then you'll follow both an RAF night raid and the famous first all-AAF daylight raid against the railroad yards at Rouen, France.
Our first test in tactics came August 17th. It was a critical day for the 8th Bomber Command when we loaded up for the first U.S. raid from England in U.S. planes in daylight. General Ira Aker had told us that the target was the great marshalling yard near Rouen in Nazi-occupied France. There were still plenty of skeptics who predicted dismal results from the first attempt at a daylight mission. Generals Spots and Aker had to prove them wrong. Our morale had worn pretty thin from repeated dry runs and public impatience for American action in the European theater. Each guy acted nonchalant, but we were fully aware of the long-range strategic planning that hinged on this particular mission. Maybe we didn't know any better, but we had plenty of confidence. Confidence in our weapons, confidence in our buddies and the way they did their job. We didn't think of ourselves as heroes, just hot rocks. But heroes or not, the flying privates, sergeants, and generals were putting their lives on the line, knowing full well what the odds were. At the controls of one of the lead ships was the old man himself, General Aker, flying a B-17, which someone aptly named Yankee Doodle. As the bombers pulled up their gear, American flyers and 12 American machines assembled over the British countryside, ready to test an American idea in France: high-altitude precision bombing.
On this mission, you will see the beginning of Air Force operations against Fortress Europe. Then, in New Guinea, you will see the debut of high-flying, speedy Lightnings.
12 brand-new P-38s were being dispatched to intercept an invading force of unknown strength. Both sides were in for a surprise. At 12:10 hours, we sighted the Japs. They were out in force. Separating into 3 flights of 4 each, we got on top at 10,000 feet. The Zeros didn't appreciate the view. Our lead flight peeled off to dive in and break up the formation. With his throttle wide open, this P38 jockey latched onto a Jap. Then the first Lightning struck. One of the eager beavers in action that day was a moon-faced lieutenant by the name of Richard Bong. This was the first of Bong's 40 victories. Captain Thomas Lynch was also there, and that was a good thing, because the enemy force included more than 28 Zeros and bombers. Tommy Lynch got 2 more that day, making him the 39th Squadron's first ace.
When the score was finally added up, our 12 Lightnings had shot down 11 enemy fighters and bombers. Thus, the P-38 made a dramatic debut in the Southwest Pacific.
The tide was turning, but one battle didn't win a war. In the African tug-of-war, you will see tactical air support develop into complete air supremacy. You will follow the action from Operation Torch through victory in Tunis.
On the morning of May 6th, they called for tactical air support. Weather was good. We had gasoline and bombs, planes and men. We were ready. The Northwest African Tactical Air Force drew up a schedule for an unprecedented weight of air attack. The heavies were first to give depth to the artillery barrage. They ordered us to concentrate on an area 4 miles long by 3.5 miles wide. We had 12th Air Force bomber boys who had started in the muddy fields of Algeria. They were teamed up with 9th Air Force men who had eaten sand all the way from Egypt, 1,500 miles. Before 9 o'clock, we had planned to fly more than 1,000 sorties. Anything that could take off went up to the corridor.